Hi, my name is Melissa Dagne. Welcome to the third session in this Canvas training series. Today we're talking about how to edit and build content areas, backbone of what students will see in your course. Now, last week the topic was organization and settings, and I talked a lot about the file structure and collecting my content. So I've got my pharmacy sample courses opened up here, and I'm sharing my screen with you guys. I'm going to, says that it's paused. Hold on, let me reshare just to make sure that it's gonna cooperate. Okay, you should be seeing my screen now. I've got my Blackboard copy and content on the left-hand side. I've got my academic demonstration shell on the right-hand side. Part of my homework last week, I went through and did the things that we talked about in last week's session. I cleaned out stuff that I knew I wasn't going to be needing to move forward. I deleted a lot of information and got this Blackboard copy in a little bit more friendly condition with just the bare minimum of the stuff that I needed. So I went through not only the files, but I went through the quizzes, the quiz banks, the rubrics, the assignments, the discussions, and the announcements to just really pare down. And then when I made my copy, I made that copy into my sandbox, and I made my copy into my academic shell so that you can see the comparison and contrast between the two. So those of you who are coming up teaching and your summer course is available and waiting for you, you're going to be teaching in this academic shell, and you would just be in there copying your content in and building it in the same space. But those of you who are planning ahead, maybe you're teaching later in the fall and you're just getting a head start, you'd be working in a sandbox space. So I really copied my stuff in, and I've got some differences, but today we're going to talk about how to edit the information. And I want to start with talking about the rich content editor. So everywhere in Canvas that you work, you are going to be using what's called the rich content editor. And if I click, I went to course syllabus because it's the first thing I want to talk about, the syllabus being what drives your entire course. It's important to share with your students. So I'm going to put it in my syllabus tool here. And at the top of the page on the right, everywhere in Canvas, there's typically going to be an edit button. And I can click that edit button and it opens what's called the rich content editor. So this works just like Word, just like PowerPoint. You have tabs at the top with different options. So how to cut, copy, paste, and you can undo, which is lovely. You can view in a full screen or in the HTML editor if you want to adjust specific code. Rare, but you can. If you want to insert different multimedia, as well as different types of formatting, so you can put a horizontal line on the page, equations, and lots of good stuff here we'll talk about more. You can format to make your page look exactly how you want. So this is a big difference between Blackboard and Canvas. You create exactly what you want the page to look like right here, and you have total freedom to put videos, to put pictures, text, and links, all sorts of information. Then you also have external apps that you also can use, which we'll talk about as well. So this is the rich content editor, and it is going to control every bit of editing content in the entire system. And it's always going to look just like this. And you're always going to click the red button at the bottom to save your work. So what I want to do on my course syllabus page is I'm going to insert a document because I've uploaded my syllabus into my file structure last week. So I have a couple of ways that I can do this, and I know that you've heard me say it before, but I'll say it again. Canvas loves to give you multiple ways to do the same task. So we've got a couple of ways we can do that. We can use the insert link, and it's going to be a course link because I put it in my course files. I mean, you're probably wondering, well, what's the difference between an external and a course link? Well, a couple of things. External links are going to go outside of Canvas. They're taking your students somewhere else. That would be to a YouTube link. You could send them to any website. You could even make external links to send to an email address. It's outside of Canvas. Course links is mainly going to be used for navigation inside of Canvas. All of these options over here, if I click on my course links, I'll get a slide out and I can either choose a place to link it to, or I can also go to my course files. So that's one way I could do it. And I can search for my syllabus and let's see if it decides to come up. No, it wants me to go inside before it will cooperate. And it's not going to cooperate. That's okay. I'm going to show you another way to do it that does cooperate. So inserting a link, you've got either external or course links. These are really what you're going to want to use in the course linked area. So it's going to take you, the options for all your pages are going to be here, for all of your assignments, everywhere inside your course. But over here, I'm going to go to Insert Document, and I'm going to choose Course Documents. So even though on a course link tab, it gives you the choice to go to your files, the feature doesn't work as well as this Insert a Document course document. So now that I've opened this up, I'm going to show you if I type in syllabus. I can pull up this particular one that's in this area. Now, last week, if I had done all of my homework, I may have renamed this and gotten rid of the dates and the references to the year just because I wanted to make my syllabus more sustainable. But because I only did some of my homework, it still has a name that's not quite as friendly. But that's okay. I'm still gonna put the link here. And now I can update my syllabus page, and that link is right here for students to be able to look at. Now there's some more options though. So I clicked edit again. If I put my cursor into a link, I get the option to click link options, and I can do some things. One of them is preview inline and have the preview expanded by default. So what I'm going to show you on my academic course shell page, I've already have that set up, and that's what it looks like. The syllabus shows on the page versus just having a link. So if I click done, and then I click update syllabus, and that is how I control the way the page looks and behaves when my students are going to come in and take a look at it. So any questions about the syllabus page and putting some information by editing? We're going to talk way more about editing in the rich content editor, but just to get started. Okay, before we leave this area, I will scroll down and I will say that the course summary, this is a feature that is in Canvas that you can turn on and off. When you are editing this page, this check mark right here will be to show or hide the course summary. So that's going to control this space. And then this information is actually automatically populated from any assignment due dates or to-do dates that you add to pages and other aspects throughout Canvas. It's going to automatically populate that for you. Okay, so that's going to be the rich content editor, the slight introduction. And then we're going to talk a little bit about announcements. So I'm going to click on announcements in both my courses here. And you'll see I have one extra. So your academic course came with a blueprint announcement that you can choose to use or not. And then of course you've got the announcements that came from the Blackboard content. So I'm going to click on the title of this one, and it's going to open up a page, and I can click on the title of this one and open a page. So two different announcements, but you see how it always looks the same no matter what you're looking at. And again, the edit button is going to be your friend. And you've also got some more option menus all throughout Canvas. This may be something once you've gotten started, but we're going to edit to build our course. And I can come in and I can see there's some interesting formatting going on here. See how I have a very small hello everyone, and then it gets bigger. I can change that. I can control the size of my font. I also have some tools that I can clear formatting. This button right here is an eraser. I can clear the formatting and make it look like it would by default. I can also bold, italicize, underline, right? And then I can still also clear out that formatting. So this just works like word processing software, pretty straightforward. You can press enter, add white space. You can add horizontal line if you want to, separate some information down the page. You can use Control Z to undo what you have just done. And you can add all kinds of links and other multimedia. So let's just say for this particular course, I wanted to add a video that's just going to welcome the students. Maybe I recorded myself saying hi and telling them a little bit about myself. Now, depending on where you house that video, you're typically going to have an embed code, unless it's Canvas Studio, and then it would be linked inside the space. So I actually have a studio video. I'm going to show you how to insert. And I'm going to look for the plug that looks like an electric cord. And these are going to be all the external apps that I can choose from. Now, because I've used Studio recently, it's already showing. But if you've never used Studio, you won't see that option, and you would click View All. And then you can scroll down and you can see you've got some selection to choose from here. You can search for Vimeo and YouTube videos without leaving Canvas if you're looking for something just to reinforce a topic. And I'm gonna choose Studio, and it's gonna pull up my library. And I've got one little video here that I'm gonna select. And then it gives me some choices. I can either allow comments or allow people to download my video, which I'm going to turn both of them off, and I'm going to choose embed. And then just like that, the video is on the page. I can scroll down, save, and students will be able to play that video without leaving the announcements area. Same concept if, let's say, I wanted to do a YouTube video. So up here in all of my bookmarks, I have some training links to some various YouTube videos. I'm going to pull one up, and I'm going to click the share button. And you can either get the link, which would require students to click on the link to get to watch the video, so 2 steps, or you can click the embed and copy this embed code.
This is the checkers game where grandson and granddad will bond.
We'll pause that. And then you can come over back into Canvas. Now that I've copied my embed code, I'm going to press enter and put my cursor where I want to put the video. And then I'm looking for the shortcut to the cloud. This little icon is going to open up a window where I can paste my embed code and submit it. And just like that, the video is on the page. And again, once I save it, students will be able to watch the video right here without leaving or clicking an additional link. Okay, so when we come back into our whole list of announcements, I do like to point out they're just like all the other features of Canvas, there's always going to be a plus to add a new one if you want to add a new. You'll enter a title. You can fill in your text box however you like, and then you can also choose some settings. So you've got the option, if you're teaching multiple sections, you can make announcements to just one section. Let's say you taught 3 sections, you told 2 the certain information, but you forgot to mention it in class to the 3rd section, and you want to send them an announcement, but you don't want to confuse everybody else who already knew. Maybe you can differentiate that here. And based on where you're enrolled in Canvas, you will have different options to be able to choose from your sections that are in your course. And then you can attach one file. Now, even though you can only browse and attach one file this way, you can link to as many files as you like in the text box space. So just keep that in mind. It's just two different ways to get them access to some materials. You can delay posting for a certain day and time, and you can just select that here. This is nice for if you do weekly introductions or weekly summaries and you want to pre-write them out and just have them programmed to go out at a certain day and time. And then you can kind of forget about it and focus on other things while you're teaching. Allowing users to comment, again, up to you. This particular button here is users must post before they see replies. So sometimes when you're using the space for an academic reason, which is not very common, you might choose this, but I have never seen anybody do this ever for announcements. It's more for the discussion board. You can enable a podcast feed and you can allow students to like. And when you do this, some more options pop up and you can choose to sort by likes. And this might be if you used your announcement section for an FAQ, and the more interactive and popular a particular post, then it would be, ordered accordingly. And then of course you would need to save, and that would create the new announcement. You can select and delete multiple. So if there was 30 down this page and they were all from last year and none of it's something I want to reuse, I have the ability to place the check marks and go ahead and delete them. Any questions about the announcements? Very similar to Blackboard, not a lot of change. Okay, we're going to jump into discussions. And in this particular course, I have none in my sandbox, so it doesn't look like this course is using discussion boards. But over here, you'll notice my academic shell came with two specifically that we recommend including for high quality online components of instruction would be a place that students can ask questions and answer each other. It's just a Q&A place. And then an introduce yourself discussion. Now, let's say you're teaching face-to-face and you're going to do an introduce yourself in class, and so you don't want to use this, just unpublish it and it can sit there and will not bother anyone. And you can unpublish both of them just as easily. So to create a new discussion board, it's going to seem very familiar, right? We just click the plus button. Again, you're going to have title, you're going to have a place to put information, and then you're going to have very similar to the announcements. You're going to be able to attach one file this way and then make some choices. So one of the things I like to point out, it's really important, that's different from Blackboard, is if you make a graded assignment and you want to make it a group, okay, you need to have created your groups in the people area and assigned your students to the groups before you do this part. So if you're building in your sandbox, you can set up your graded assignments. Just know that after you copy them into your academic space, you'll then need to create your groups, come back and finish out selecting this part. And the reason is Blackboard would allow students to join a group when they were completing an assignment. Canvas does not do that. Canvas requires that students already be in the group for it to, I guess, go through the logistics properly. Otherwise, they will be able to complete the assignment individually. And then the only way to fix all of that is to delete it entirely and start over. And from experience, this spring with the pilot program, it has happened and it was a little bit of a headache. So make sure you are prepared to create your groups before finishing out group assignments. Okay, and I'm going to actually take the grading part off because that's going to be next week's topic and it kind of opens up a whole nother can of worms that we will get into then. So you get these choices you can have available from a certain date and time. and until a certain date and time. Now this means that before the date, students can't access it or participate. And after this date, they cannot access it or participate. So if you're using your discussions for any sort of ongoing conversation that you want them to be able to still do, make sure that you don't lock it down. I'm going to click cancel. And any questions about the discussion board? All right, so the next area is really the most complex, and it's where you're going to spend the most of your time working when you're cleaning up your information and getting your course ready for the students, and that's pages. So I'm going to go over to my pages, and you'll see that I have some information over here for my welcome page that I will not have in my sandbox, and that's okay. You can just wait to put your welcome together when you're in your academic shell and do the rest of your content pages prior to. So that's no big deal, but I'm going to click view all pages, and you can see I've got almost all the same plus the few extra blueprint options that I can use to build my course out in the academic shell. So even though I'm looking at this information right here, it's not very helpful for me to look at it just from this view. In my head, and the way that I process information while I build a course is actually from the modules page. So I want to show you, we're going to be working on the pages, but we're going to do it from the modules. And that's just because it's easier to think about it in this capacity. So what I'd like to talk to you about is how to create less busy modules. So if you look at what we've got going on here, I'm actually going to minimize the one on the right because there's no need to look at it twice because they look the exact same. What you're looking at here is a folder in Blackboard that had an item in it, and then it had some more folders. All of these subheaders are folders. And inside those folders, 1 or 2 items, not much, it's not very overwhelming, but the way Canvas interprets it and shows it to our students is a lot. You can see I'm just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. So I want to show you one way that we can condense our pages and some of this material into a format that's a little less complex. So we're going to create a module, and I'm going to call this one, I'm going to call it sample module, just because I don't want to distract ourselves with what we would name them. Name them whatever makes sense to you. So the sample module is always going, a new one's always going to pop up at the bottom. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to move the module to the top of the page because I want to see it at the top. And I've decided that in this sample module, I'm going to skip my introduction module and I'm going to come down 1 because I'm going to look at this information here. And I'm going to say, okay, I've got exam 1 materials. I'm going to open them in a new tab and I'm going to split my screen. I'm going to work half and half. Okay, so in my first item, I have very little information, but I see that all of this information below it is supposed to be in this category. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a page and I'm going to name it exam 1 materials with this information. Create a page, give it this name, click add item. So now I have a page for this information and I'm going, yes.
Is this the equivalent of an item in Blackboard? Is that what you're doing right now, is creating an item?
Some sort of. So a page is similar to an item, but it's more open-ended that you can do anything you want with it. So that's what I'm going to show you next. So I created the page with this name and now I don't need this anymore. So I'm going to delete this one. And I'm going through extra steps, showing people how to do these things more so than your workflow might actually be. So you may have just used the page that already existed, but I want to show you how Canvas functions. So I deleted that page over here, and I want to show you when I did that, it took it out of this module and now it's gone. So even though I have one right here, I just want to make sure that I demonstrate that there's a lot of different ways to manipulate the information. So on this page, I'm going to open this up and you're going to see it's very empty. I'm going to click edit and I'm going to leave this right here and I'm going to work in this space because I want to put this information over here. Now let's say, for example, I've got eye diseases. Okay, so what's going on this page? I'm going to open it up. I've got a couple of links. Okay, that's not bad. I can click edit and I can copy these links and I can put them over here. Now they look a little different, so I'm going to clear the formatting to make them look the same. One of these is an MP4 file, so I don't really want to put my videos in my Canvas course, but we're just going to leave that there just to let you see what it looks like. I don't recommend it. It will take up your course space and videos will not play well for your students. So just keep that in mind. So I'm going to cancel the eye diseases page that I was editing. I'm going to put eye diseases right here at the top. I'm just cleaning up what I've got going on. Maybe I want to make these bullet points. Just one idea. Okay, so now I've got this information right here. I can delete this page. All right, and now I'm going to come back to my module and I'm going to look at it again and I'm going to say, okay, so this information might have been important. It's a subheader. I don't recommend using the dates necessarily as text because they can become very cumbersome to have to go back and manipulate. But let's just say, for example, October 28th, 2020 was really, I want to tell teachers about this. I can add to the student to do. So October 28th last year, and maybe that was Wednesday. And maybe this is a 10 a.m. class. This is just for an example. So now I've got this date programmed in here. The way Canvas works is that next year, when you go to copy your course forward, you have an option to automatically edit these dates and have them shift based on the calendar for you. And so it's just using the programming is a lot less cumbersome than having to come back over here and edit and change the dates manually on all of your items. So it's just something to keep in mind as you're naming things. So I'm going to say, okay, that information now, I have it all represented. I can now delete this item too, remove it. And I'm going to say, okay, maybe, and I'm just thinking out loud because this isn't my course. I'm not sure how I want to organize it just right this moment. Maybe this is a better page name and my module would then be exam 1 materials and my page name would be the instructor and eye diseases. And then I would just have my links. But maybe it isn't. Maybe I want to keep going down this page. So I can
want to keep going down this page.
Okay.
We have 3 instructors for,
Yes.
or 4 instructors. Okay.
So I inserted a horizontal line and then I'm coming over here and I can copy and paste this information. And I'm going to take out the dates just because they will not be relevant for next year anyway. So I'm just going to take them out because I already know they're wrong because the calendar changes. And then I'm going to take a look at what is this particular item. I'm not sure, so I have to look at it. Now, if you'll notice what it's named and what it is are two different things. So keep that in mind, that when you uploaded stuff to Blackboard, Blackboard allowed you to name it whatever you wanted. It invisibly connected it to the actual file you meant for it to connect to. And it wasn't very clear on showing you that those two things were different. But in Canvas, it's kind of important. I have to find the right one. So I'm going to press enter and I'm going to push insert course document. And I'm looking for this name. So I'm going to search PCOL. And here it is. Yes. 20, yes, yes, yes. I'm going to say enter, and it put it on the page for me. So now I can come over here and I can delete both of these, remove that one and remove this one. So I'm going to pause and save at this point, and I'm going to save, but I'm not going to publish because my stuff is not finished. And I want to have a very specific way to kind of keep track of all of this. So if I come back over here and refresh my page, what I've got going on this page is here. And I'm just going to keep going down, and I'm going to reorganize and use pages in a way that's a little less cumbersome. Any questions on any of the features you've seen so far?
If we're not supposed to put our videos on here, where are we supposed to put those? Or are you going to tell us later?
Yes, so that was part of last week's topic. And so I'm going to pull up that information and we can review it really quick because it's important. So in the organization and settings, as we were scrolling down this information, large files such as video and narrated PowerPoints, you've got several different options. You can put large files in OneDrive very nicely, such as PowerPoints, and then get the share link and put the link into Canvas. And then Stream and Echo 360 are going to be your two video management options. Those are going to be for full-length videos. Both of those platforms closed caption your video for you and make it very easy to also edit your closed captioning with the very specific pharmacology type terminology. That's really, really important. And then Canvas Studio is going to be for your quick 5 to 10 minute videos. So you've got several options there.
I understand that, but how do they find it off of the exam one materials page?
So when I go to how I put a YouTube video on the announcements page is the same way that I would do that here. So let's say this video I've actually uploaded to Stream. Okay, just as an example, I don't have that video in Stream, but I have lots of other ones. So I'm going to go to Cardinal Apps, and I'm using Stream as the example because I have access to it more easily, not necessarily because it's a better choice than Echo 360. It's just the one right this moment that I have some stuff in and can show you. So I opened up Office 365. Stream is the red arrow. If you don't see it here, you can click the All Apps button. And then once that loads, I basically can create and upload videos. So I would download this video, upload it into Stream, and publish it. And I'm going to go to my videos just to show you some of them. So the one I had in Canvas Studio, I also have put it over in Stream. And it's visible to anyone in the organization, but you can also make it visible to only your class. Banner creates these groups for you so that you can share to your specific group of students each semester. And then how you do this is you come to the share button and there's an embed tab and you copy that code. And then over here, I'm going to edit. I'm going to press enter and I am going to go get my Cloud Embed app. I'm going to paste that code here. And now the video is going to be on the screen instead of a link into the Canvas files.
How does that take less space than the other way? I'm sorry.
So
I
your
don't
fi-
understand.
your files have a 2 gig limit, just like your computer has a limited amount of space. And so to get around that, you upload stuff to the cloud. Well, that video is hosted over in the cloud and not in your course. So it kind of works the exact same as your computer desktop versus putting stuff in the cloud. So any videos uploaded back here are going to take up space. Now, that's only half of it though. The other half is that these video platforms are designed to help videos play well, and Canvas is not. So sometimes the student experience is going to be negatively affected by doing that.
I noticed along the same lines as a little bit along the same line, I started just on something simple to kind of, I don't know, get my head around this. And I did my announcement page with that little welcome statement. But when I got rid of the picture that's actually there and wanted to embed like my picture with, it's an instructor announcement little thing. I couldn't get the picture. It took up the whole page above my announcement. I couldn't get it, so it went to the side like the example.
Okay, yeah, well, let me show you. Let's see, let's go back and go into my page. I'm going to edit. And let's say I want to put a picture at the top here. I can insert an image from my course images. I'm just gonna go find one, right? Let's just pick this one for an example. Once I put that in there, the default is whatever size the image was when it was created in the video or image, product that it was made with. You don't control it that way. What you can control, I'm going to click edit again, is when you've got the image here and you click on it, you have image options. And this is where you can come in and you can choose the predefined, which you would just have to guess and check. I'm going to say small, and it says 200 by 110 pixels. That's not that small. That's actually still a decent size. I'm going to make it really little, like an icon, make it 30 by 17, and I'm going to say done. And now I have a little tiny icon size. So you control that in image options for whatever you want it to be.
Okay, I saw that when I was trying to do it, but really a lot of the stuff is very complicated unless you're used to programming. I mean, it's so like, I don't know. Versus like what we do in Blackboard. It's a lot of steps. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. These are really great questions. It does take web development for the pages aspect, takes a little bit of time, but I would definitely say that it doesn't need to start out as fancy as you might want it, and just getting your links and making sure they function properly is probably, very first step. Okay, I'm going to save this. So really all of this information, I have put together some asynchronous, not in my Zoom, let me find it. So the asynchronous information is going to have some really short videos just when you're maybe working on it and getting ready to do some things. The rich content editor, it will go over every single bit of information in 5 minutes and tell you all of the buttons. And then I definitely added some additional videos to, sort of support that as you're working through it, maybe in real time, more so than today's demonstration. Any other questions about using the rich content editor or getting information on your pages? Next week's topic is graded assignments and talking more about getting your gradebook set up. And then I do believe I say that, but maybe I'm misremembering. Yes, prepare graded assignments. And then after that is modules and structure. And so it may be, if pages are not how you necessarily plan to manipulate a lot of your information, you're going to go onto your modules space and you're going to clean up the links that you have here in various ways. And so we do get to control what this looks like. And that may be a more user-friendly way for you if you're not interested in building Canvas pages. Okay, that's all I have for today. I mean, you guys are free to go early and I'll stick around in case you have any questions.
Thanks, Melissa. I think that going from the Blackboard to this is more difficult than trying just to move things around, move things into your shell thing.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
There's a learning curve. I wouldn't say, I don't know that it's necessarily more difficult. Once you've kind of learned a few basic things, it's all the same skills.
I mean, I've learned Stream this year. I've learned a lot of different things, but yeah. It's just something new.
I find what I'm struggling with is how to make it, I find the pages, if I were the student, even when you recreated it, I find them overwhelming. I mean, to me, it just looks like a lot of stuff on a page. And whereas Blackboard to me looks very organized. And I see where you're trying to get us to go to get it organized. But to me, if I were the student looking at this page like it is right now, I find it overwhelming.
So do you feel like what about looking at other examples? Like,
we're co-teach. We have 5 different instructors for the DEEMT organization. It is a difficult class to think about because it's very complicated.
So I will show you some of the pilot courses. So I've got a couple in here that I think maybe would show you how co-teachers work together to put information on the pages in a way that doesn't necessarily come across as overwhelming. It just sort of depends. I'm looking for the right semester. 1 second, spring 2021. Okay, and I'm going to show you, this is probably a good one. Any of these are good. When you come to these pages, so in their modules, they've got day 8.1 is January 5th, and this is case 8. It's the first portion. And then when you come onto their expectations and resources page, the entire department has the same familiar layout. They have the focus or learning objectives depending on how every course is different, but they just kind of have a similar structure. But it usually starts off with learning objectives. They've got the preparation and readings, and then they've got additional links and their day's slide deck. So, and then they've just done this over and over again. They're following the same structure over and over and over. And
so can you go back? Oh, sorry. I like that. I like this 8.1 and 8 thing. This is easy to see. Can you go back so I can just look at it again so I can get the idea? I like this.
Yeah, so this is really the instructional design of this course is, we looked at all of the materials of what their biggest picture was, and then thought about what are the smaller categories we can break it down into. And then they said, but we have all these problems too. And so we kind of thought about that. What do we do when COVID strikes and everything gets pushed back a week because spring break was wrong? What do we do when the snow hits and we got to mess with our instruction? And so we thought about how to name our pages in ways that wouldn't change even if circumstances changed.
So I'm sorry. I actually have a question too about, see how that assignment is within that case 8. I have a question about that because there's that other tab over on the side that's assignments, and in Blackboard you wouldn't see them within this. So are you seeing them both places, or would they automatically put within the module?
So you are seeing them both places if you choose to. So if you don't want students to see their assignments page, which I actually would not recommend hiding from them because it has some benefits, is you can go into and change your navigation, and you can make this hidden from students. The assignments page though, so as a student, they come in, they see what they're doing here. But if they've already gone through the materials and they just want a quick place to go get a high-end view, they get to see how they're organized in this space for their grades. So this is your grade book. Everything you do, and this is the topic for next week, is everything you do in assignments is going to create your grade book for you. So that's why you've got this category over here. Whereas in Blackboard, you could manipulate the Blackboard gradebook. Canvas, you don't.
That's awesome explanation. Thank you. That was the one thing I was struggling with. So now I'm kind of getting a feel for it. This helped a lot.
If you have time, and if you have the Canvas overview and resources course in your, I've enrolled, I believe, almost 250 people, so I'm not sure who has access, but I've got these 12 topics here, and the one I recommend is reading Avoiding Problems and Symbiotic Behaviors. This symbiotic behaviors is like Canvas. Things you do here affect things you do there. And there's just a lot of interconnectivity in the system that seems confusing, but once you've kind of grasped that structure, you'll find it's really an improvement in a lot of ways. So this is just a page of just some information that might make you go, and think about, some new stuff. But I tried to keep this course, it's pretty short. It's kind of like a booklet. It's just gonna walk everybody through, some basic information, more so than Canvas help guides can, because like Banner and enrollments at UIW, like Canvas doesn't know that. That's our stuff. I included that. Just trying to get everybody to, just have a little bit of information to start off with. So if you have time to take a look at it, it's kind of nice. And then, so I think, where was I? Going back to PCM. So yeah, there's a lot of, you can look at it this way, or you can go look at it that way. And students also have control over how they look at it. So when I go to the student view here, I can do show by type or show by date, and I can search for assignments. I don't have these features if you take this away from me. So that's really the only thing. Using the student view to kind of get an idea of what they're looking at is very helpful. When they see their grades, they also have a way to arrange it by all different ways. They get to control that. They can see the weighted categories over here. And yeah, just really, they get a feel for what they've got going on. This person is missing a lot. Test student, you need to do your work. Yeah, great questions. I think that sometimes it's helpful to see other examples and to remember, you know your content best. And you are going to know, I love the post-it method, where you can take post-its and, jot down all the different stuff you've got, and then you can manipulate, what's the best organization structure for all of this stuff? And, just figuring out the categories and what needs to go where. And I mean, you can see this case, it went over 6 different days. Week 1 module wouldn't work for this because it's like week 1.5. So we really had to think about it from the perspective of what works with this course material. And it just keeps going. And as you can see, it's just every name is following the same pattern. The indentations follow the same pattern. Just really that consistency, it helps keep students from feeling overwhelmed.
And do we create that indentation, or based on what we pick, it's creating it automatically?
You create it, you're gonna control that. You're gonna increase or
Oh,
decrease.
okay, okay.
So for DINK, I mean, I envision that we would keep the topics together. So we have an eye group, we have a ear, nose, and throat group, we have a dermatology group. And so, and each of the exams is split up that way.
Makes sense. I would recommend when I'm looking at this, I think that it's helpful to know the faculty, but minimizing the places that you put names, right? Because thinking ahead, if faculty changed, you'd have to go through and find everywhere that it says that. Just the little things you can do to make it less work in the future. You're already in here having to put it together. So if you think about it from that perspective, it'll save you in the long run. And of course, you can manipulate all of these, and we'll talk about modules in total detail and how you've got lots of options to control how they behave and what kind of goes into them. Great.
I think we do need to do this consistently throughout the therapeutics modules. So we have 12 modules, 12 whole courses.
Mm-hmm.
This is just one out of that series of 12 courses for over 3 years for the student. But if we can get this set up now, then moving forward should be very easy.
Very much so. I would highly recommend getting together as a team and hashing out how you want to organize and communicate the information, and then just following that. Your students will love it. Absolutely.
At least with the courses I've been involved at, they've always grouped by exam 1 material, exam 2 material, exam 3 material.
And I think that's okay. It's kind of like the lower spine, the upper spine for the physical therapy course, right? It'd be the same thing. Because we don't change the topics in our exams over the courses. So we could do it that way, and that way it wouldn't. And then we would say chemistry, pharmacology, therapeutics of each organ or topic, organ topic. And then I think if we build it that way, it'll be more, more in what you're talking about, Melissa.
And it sounds like that context would be really helpful for your students as well. So to know that the subcategories of what we're talking about in the exam 1 materials and sort of what that relates to, I think can be the use of some subheaders on a page would be nice. I think it would come together very well.
Right. So we in general, the way it's formatted is that we do the pathophysiology, then we do the chemistry, then we do the pharmacology, then we do the therapeutics in that order for each of the organ systems or disease states or exam materials.
Yeah, so I would think I envision that working on a page. I'm gonna get rid of some of these example things. So if
so like Dr. Narayanan is borrowed from optometry.
Okay, so did you say what did you say first? Bear with
First is pathophysiology.
Pathophysiology, there we go.
And Cheryl, pipe in anytime. So, and then the next thing we do is chemistry. Then the next thing we do is pharmacology. And then the next thing we do is therapeutics. PEU. Yeah.
That's right, right? That's right.
Yeah. So if we do it in that order for each exam's material,
You
I
can
think we'd be okay.
heading 3, and then I think inserting,
That probably work for like 98% of our therapeutic courses.
Then, you know, attaching whatever readings and assignments and blah, blah, blah.
mhm.
In that way would make it happen.
I'm just gonna put these here just because I don't want to lose them, but I would imagine that you would not leave it like this, but you know what I'm saying.
Well, Narayanan is there. That's his place. Smith goes to pharmacology.
Ah, okay, that helps.
And then Sakazwe would be in chemistry for this course. And Dr. Patel for this part would be the therapeutics. And she does multiple things. So she does glaucoma, she does general eye, she does otic, and then oral for this particular exam.
Okay. So, and you can manipulate how this looks, of course.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I would definitely say follow.
But I think if we did it this way for each of the 12 courses, well, not the first 2, but 3 through 12, the team taught courses, this should work.
Well, I know we're talking about Canvas tomorrow at our meeting, at the school meeting, Renee. So maybe that's worth bringing up.
Mhm.
We'll see. But I think it would be good for the students and good for the new faculty and the old faculty to have a format.
A guide, a structure,
Yes.
for sure. Right. I'm gonna stop this recording.